Now, and the Burundi government has declared it will not allow any foreign soldiers, including African Union peacekeeping troops, through its borders. This announcement comes a day after the African Union resolved to deploy a 5,000-strong peacekeeping force to the war-torn country. And as KTN's Murimi Mwangi now reports, the Burundi crisis may turn into the worst diplomatic nightmare for the continent, as AU insists that it reserves the right to enforce its decisions and demands nothing less than Burundi's cooperation.
The decision by the African Union Peace and Security Council to deploy a 5,000-strong peacekeeping force to the war-torn Burundi appears to have angered Burundi President Pierre Nkurunziza, who has now vowed to block any foreign soldiers who make any attempt to cross the country's borders. In a hard-hitting statement to the AU, the president's spokesperson, Gervais Abayeho, told Al Jazeera that the country does not need any peacekeeping force and that Burundi was never adequately consulted over the matter, terming the AU decision as an infringement on Burundi's sovereignty. Abayeho said that Burundi is also a troop-contributing country to the African Union and that the most logical math for the AU would have been to send Burundi soldiers currently under AU back home instead of deploying foreign troops on their land. And in what appears to be a looming regional diplomatic standoff, the African Union said on Friday that it reserves the right to enforce its decisions and asked the Burundi government to cooperate in 96 hours by allowing the deployment of the soldiers. This development came on the same day that Uganda Defense Minister Crispas Kiyonga announced that the peace talks between the warring factions in Burundi would resume on December 28th in Uganda under the moderation of Uganda President Yoweri Museveni.
14 groups that His Excellency President Museveni met, and I subsequently also met in the dialogue in Bujumbura. First was the government, second was the ruling party, then you had the opposition parties. There are also parties which support the government. It was civil society, the representatives of the business community.
Meanwhile, Burundians living in Kenya and human rights activist groups in the country have asked the East African nations and the African Union to mount more pressure on Burundi government to end the killings before it gets too late.
They cannot keep quiet while our brothers are burning. Please, Nkurunziza, wherever you are, listen to Burundians.
AU says 400 people have been killed, while another 220,000 have fled the fighting, which began in April after President Pierre Nkurunziza announced plans to contest a third term in office. This latest defiance by the Burundi government may stall the latest efforts for peace, as the mandate of the peacekeeping troops was to protect civilians and assist create the necessary conditions for dialogue. Murimi Mwangi, KTN News, Nairobi.